Before we dive deep into this forbidden knowledge, I need to ask you something. What time is it where you are right now? And where are you watching this from? I'm asking because the time and place you're experiencing this message is not a coincidence. It's part of a cosmic synchronicity that's about to make complete sense as we unravel the truth about the Age of Aquarius. Because every single person who finds this video is meant to hear what I'm about to reveal. And you being here right now is proof that your soul is ready for this information. You've probably heard people throwing around the phrase Age of Aquarius at spiritual gatherings, in New Age bookstores. Maybe your yoga teacher mentioned it, or you saw it trending on social media. But what if I told you that almost everything you've been told about this cosmic shift is either incomplete, watered down, or deliberately altered to keep you from understanding the real transformation that's coming? What if the Age of Aquarius isn't just some feel-good concept about peace and love and everyone holding hands in a circle singing Kumbaya? What if it's actually the most radical restructuring of human consciousness and planetary existence that has ever occurred in recorded history? And what if the powers that have controlled humanity for thousands of years are terrified of what happens when this shift fully activates? See, here's what they don't want you to know. The Age of Aquarius isn't coming. It's already here. And you've been living through the birth pangs of this new era without even realizing it. Every breakdown you've experienced in the last few years, every system that's crumbling, every old belief that's dying, every moment of chaos and confusion, that's not random. That's the death of the old Piscean age, and the birth of something they tried to prevent for millennia. Let me take you back for a moment, because to understand where we're going, you need to know where we've been and what we're leaving behind. For the past 2,160 years, humanity has been living under the astrological influence of the Age of Pisces, and Pisces, represented by two fish swimming in opposite directions, gave us an age of duality, an age of separation, an age where humanity was split into opposing forces. Light versus dark, good versus evil, us versus them, heaven versus earth, spirit versus matter. And this wasn't accidental. The Piscean age was necessary for a specific stage of human evolution. It was the age of faith, where we were meant to surrender to higher authorities, to believe without seeing, to follow external saviors and religious institutions that claim to have all the answers. And look at what defined this era: the rise of major organized religions, the spread of Christianity, Islam, Buddhism as institutions rather than pure teachings, the establishment of hierarchical power structures where the few controlled the many, where priests and kings and emperors stood between you and the divine, telling you that you were born sinful, that you needed intermediaries to access God. That salvation came from outside yourself through obedience and submission. But here's what the ancient mystery schools knew. Here's what the Egyptians encoded in their temples, what the Mayans calculated in their calendars, what the Vedic seers prophesied thousands of years ago. They knew that ages shift. They knew that approximately every 2,160 years, the Earth moves through a different zodiacal age due to the precession of the equinoxes. And they knew that when the shift happened from Pisces to Aquarius, everything would change, not gradually, not peacefully, but through a complete dismantling of the old paradigm and a reconstruction of reality itself. Aquarius, represented by the water-bearer pouring out knowledge and truth onto humanity, signals an age where the secrets that were hidden are now being revealed, where the hierarchies that controlled information are crumbling, where individual sovereignty and direct connection to source consciousness becomes not just possible, but inevitable. And this absolutely terrifies those who have maintained power through the Piscean structures of control. Because in the Age of Aquarius, you don't need a priest to talk to God. You don't need a government to give you permission to be free. You don't need a pharmaceutical company to tell you how to be healthy. You don't need a bank to control your wealth. You don't need mainstream media to tell you what's true. Because the Age of Aquarius is the age of knowing, of direct gnosis, of individual empowerment, of technology that liberates rather than enslaves, of communities that function through collaboration rather than hierarchy, of spiritual awakening on a mass scale that cannot be controlled or contained. Now, let me tell you exactly what's happening right now as we transition between these ages, because this isn't some distant future event. This is the air you're breathing. This is the reason your life has felt like it's been turned upside down. This is why nothing makes sense anymore according to the old rules. The transition between astrological ages doesn't happen overnight. It happens through a period called the cusp, and we are living right now in the cusp period between Pisces and Aquarius, and cusp periods are chaotic. They're intense. They're uncomfortable. Because you have the old age desperately trying to maintain control, while the new age is simultaneously trying to birth itself through the collective consciousness of humanity. What does that look like in practical terms? It looks like every single power structure that was built during the Piscean age starting to crack and crumble. It looks like organized religion losing its grip on the masses as more and more people discover direct spiritual experiences without needing intermediaries. It looks like governments and corporations being exposed for corruption and control mechanisms that were hidden for centuries. It looks like the financial systems built on debt slavery and artificial scarcity beginning to collapse. It looks like mainstream media losing its authority as people discover alternative sources of truth. It looks like the medical establishment being questioned like never before as people reclaim sovereignty over their own bodies. It looks like the educational system being recognized as an indoctrination program rather than true learning. And most importantly, it looks like you and millions of others around the planet suddenly waking up, questioning everything you were taught, feeling a deep inner knowing that there's more to reality than what you've been told, experiencing synchronicities and spiritual awakenings and kundalini activations and consciousness expansions that would have been considered rare or special in previous generations, but are now becoming common. But here's where it gets really interesting, and here's what they've tried to keep hidden from you. The Age of Aquarius isn't just about nice spiritual concepts. It's about a literal shift in the electromagnetic frequency of the Earth and the activation of dormant DNA within human beings that connects us to higher dimensional consciousness. Scientists have been measuring something called the Schumann resonance, which is essentially the heartbeat of the Earth, the electromagnetic frequency of our planet. And for thousands of years it remained stable at around 7.83 Hertz. But guess what's been happening? It's been spiking. It's been jumping to 15, 25, even higher frequencies in bursts. And while mainstream science tries to explain this away or ignore it completely, those who understand the esoteric teachings know what this means. The Earth is literally ascending in frequency, and as the Earth ascends, so must everything living upon it, which means you are being forced to raise your frequency, whether you're consciously aware of it or not. And this is why so many people are experiencing what they call ascension symptoms: unexplained exhaustion, changes in sleep patterns, heightened sensitivity, emotional purging, physical discomfort, ringing in the ears, pressure in the head. None of this is random illness. It's your physical body trying to adapt to a higher frequency reality that's emerging. The ancient texts from multiple traditions all point to this same transformation. The Hopi prophecy speaks of the emergence into the fifth world. The Hindu Vedas describe the transition from Kali Yuga to Satya Yuga. The Mayan calendar pointed to 2012 not as an end date, but as the beginning of a new cycle. The Book of Revelation in Christianity describes a new heaven and new earth. The Buddhist teachings speak of the coming of Maitreya, the future Buddha of loving kindness, and while these prophecies use different languages and symbols, they're all describing the same event, the shift into the Age of Aquarius, the movement from a consciousness based on separation and control to a consciousness based on unity and freedom. What the ancient mystery schools understood, what the initiates of Egypt and Greece and Tibet were taught in secret, is that human beings have been operating on a fraction of their true potential, that we have DNA strands that are currently dormant, that we have glands in our brain like the pineal gland that are calcified and shut down, that we have energy centers called chakras that are blocked and underactive, and that we have been deliberately kept in this state of limitation through fluoride in the water supply, through toxins in food, through electromagnetic pollution, through fear-based programming in media, through trauma-based mind control in education and religion, all of it designed to keep you from activating your full potential. Because when you activate your full potential, you become ungovernable. You become a sovereign being who cannot be controlled, manipulated, or deceived. The Age of Aquarius represents the collective activation of this dormant potential. It represents millions and eventually billions of human beings simultaneously remembering who they really are, what they're really capable of, and what they're really here to do. And this is not metaphorical. This is literal biological and consciousness evolution happening in real time. There are people right now who are developing abilities that would have been called supernatural or miraculous in the past: telepathy, clairvoyance, healing abilities, manifestation of desires at accelerated rates, communication with higher dimensional beings, past life recall, out-of-body experiences that happen spontaneously. And these aren't special gifts given to a chosen few. These are the natural abilities of an activated human being living in the Aquarian frequency. Now let me tell you about the collective shifts that are coming as this age fully anchors itself on Earth. Because the Age of Aquarius isn't just about individual awakening. It's about the complete restructuring of how human civilization operates. First, the end of hierarchical power structures and the rise of what's called horizontal organization, or decentralized networks. In the Piscean Age, power flowed from the top down. You had pharaohs, emperors, kings, presidents, CEOs, popes, all sitting at the top of pyramids controlling those below. But Aquarius energy is horizontal. It's about networks where power is distributed equally, where information flows freely, where decisions are made through consensus rather than authority. And you're already seeing this beginning with technologies like blockchain that remove the need for centralized banks, with social media platforms that bypass traditional media gatekeepers, with peer-to-peer sharing economies that eliminate corporate middlemen, with grassroots movements that organize without traditional leadership structures. This is all Aquarian energy manifesting. Second, the complete transformation of how we relate to technology. The Piscean Age gave us technology as a tool of control, surveillance systems, weapons of mass destruction, addictive algorithms designed to keep you scrolling and consuming and distracted. But the Age of Aquarius will give us technology that liberates, technology that enhances consciousness rather than numbs it, technology that connects us to higher dimensions rather than trapping us in lower ones. And some of this is already emerging: biohacking technologies that allow people to optimize their biology, frequency devices that can heal through vibration, free energy technologies that have been suppressed for over a century but are starting to leak out into public awareness. Third, the revolution in education and the access to knowledge. Pisces was the age of hidden knowledge, where truth was locked away in mystery schools and secret societies and Vatican vaults and government classified files, where you needed to be initiated, to prove yourself worthy, to spend decades studying under a master before you could access the real teachings, But Aquarius is the age of revelation, where all that was hidden is now being poured out like water from the water-bearer's vessel. And this is already happening at an accelerating rate. Ancient texts that were restricted are now available online for free. Teachers who would have charged thousands of dollars for their wisdom are now sharing it freely. Secrets of manifestation and consciousness that were guarded by elite groups are now common knowledge. And this trend will only intensify, because in the age of Aquarius, truth cannot be contained, secrets cannot be kept. Lies cannot survive exposure to the light. Fourth, the transformation of how we approach health and healing. The Piscean age gave us allopathic medicine, where doctors are authorities who prescribe pharmaceutical interventions for symptoms while ignoring root causes. Where you're told your body is basically broken and needs constant medical management. But the Age of Aquarius is bringing back ancient healing wisdom combined with new understanding of how consciousness affects biology, quantum healing, energy medicine, sound healing, light therapy, plant medicine, breath work, the understanding that your thoughts and beliefs directly impact your physical health. The recognition that most disease begins in the emotional and energetic body before manifesting physically. Fifth, the complete transformation of our relationship to the planet and nature. Pisces gave us the separation from nature, the idea that humans are somehow above or separate from the earth, that nature is a resource to be exploited for profit. But Aquarius brings the remembering that we are not separate from nature. We are nature, that the earth is a living conscious being, that indigenous peoples were right about everything, that we must live in balance and reciprocity with all life. Now here's something they really don't want you to understand about the Age of Aquarius. And this is where we get into the forbidden knowledge that has been actively suppressed. The Age of Aquarius corresponds with the full activation of what's called the crystalline grid of the Earth and the activation of the Christ consciousness grid in human collective awareness. And before you think this is too esoteric, understand that there is actual science behind this. The Earth has multiple geometric energy grids that have been mapped by researchers. Ancient civilizations knew about these grids. That's why sacred sites like pyramids, stone circles, and temples are all built on specific power points where these grid lines intersect. And what the ancient mystery schools taught is that these grids were damaged during the fall of Atlantis. Yes, Atlantis was real. It existed during what's called the Golden Age of a previous cycle. And when that civilization fell due to misuse of advanced technology and spiritual power, the grids were damaged, human DNA was downgraded from 12 active strands to 2, and humanity fell into a dark age that we're only now emerging from after thousands of years. The Age of Aquarius represents the repair and reactivation of these planetary grids and the corresponding reactivation of human DNA. And this is being facilitated by multiple factors working together. First, the increasing photonic light coming from the galactic center. Our solar system is moving into a region of space with higher energy density, and this light is literally upgrading our biology at the cellular level. Second, the conscious work being done by millions of light workers, healers, and awakened beings who are deliberately working with these grids, doing ceremony, meditation, energy work to repair and strengthen them. Third, the assistance we're receiving from higher dimensional beings, and yes, this includes what some call extraterrestrials, but are more accurately described as interdimensional consciousnesses that have been guiding human evolution all along. The same beings that appeared to ancient civilizations as gods and angels, they're here now in greater numbers than ever, not to save us, but to assist us in our own evolution. Here's what you need to understand about your role in the Age of Aquarius, because this isn't just something happening to you, this is something happening through you. Every single human being alive right now chose to be here for this transition. At the soul level, you knew this was the most important time in human history. You knew that being incarnated during the shift from Pisces to Aquarius would be challenging, but also incredibly significant. You knew you would have the opportunity to participate in the greatest transformation ever. And so you said yes. You agreed to come here, to forget who you really are temporarily, to go through the programming and conditioning of the Piscean age, all so that you could wake up during the transition and help anchor the new frequencies. Your struggles weren't random. They were preparation. Every difficult experience you've been through has been strengthening you, building resilience, clearing karma, healing ancestral patterns, all so that you could be strong enough, clear enough, awake enough to hold the light during this transition. The practical manifestations of the fully anchored Age of Aquarius, what it will actually look like when this transition completes, is a world that would seem like science fiction to previous generations. Imagine communities organized around cooperative principles rather than competition, where resources are shared and abundance is the norm, because we've moved beyond scarcity consciousness. Imagine education that nurtures individual gifts rather than standardizing everyone into compliant. Workers, imagine healthcare that focuses on maintaining wellness rather than treating disease. Imagine a world where work is meaningful and fulfilling rather than soul-crushing, where people do what they love and contribute their gifts freely. Imagine cities designed with sacred geometry that enhance consciousness, where energy is clean and free, where vehicles move silently without pollution. Imagine a justice system based on restoration and healing rather than punishment. Imagine a world where borders dissolve through the recognition that we're one human family on one planet. This isn't utopian fantasy. This is the trajectory we're on, and you can already see the seeds of it emerging everywhere. Let me give you some practical ways you can align yourself more fully with the Age of Aquarius energies right now. First, commit to your own healing and shadow work, because you cannot carry old trauma and unhealed wounds into the new paradigm. Second, develop a daily spiritual practice, even just 10 minutes of meditation, because you need to be actively tuning your frequency every day. Third, become discerning about what you allow into your energy field, the media you consume, the people you spend time with, the foods you eat. All of it is either raising your frequency or lowering it. Fourth, speak your truth, stop hiding, stop playing small. The Age of Aquarius requires authenticity. Fifth, trust your intuition above all external authority, because in the Age of Aquarius, the logical mind is no longer sufficient. Sixth, collaborate and build community with other awakened souls, because isolation keeps you weak while community makes you strong. Seventh, develop gratitude as your default state, because the Age of Aquarius operates on principles of abundance. And eighth, be willing to let go of everything that no longer serves you, relationships, careers, beliefs, identities, all of it, because you cannot enter the new age while clinging to the old. So here's the truth that nobody wants to tell you. The Age of Aquarius is not going to save you. You have to save yourself by choosing to evolve, by doing the inner work, by raising your frequency, by becoming the sovereign, empowered being you came here to be. This shift is happening whether you participate or not, but your experience of it depends entirely on your willingness to let go of the old and embrace the new. And I know it's scary. I know it's uncomfortable. I know you want guarantees and timelines and proof, but consciousness evolution doesn't work that way. It requires a leap of faith. It requires you to trust in something you can't yet see, to believe in a reality that hasn't fully manifested yet, to hold the vision even when everything around you seems to be falling apart. The Age of Aquarius is calling you to remember who you really are, not this limited human identity struggling to survive, but an infinite multidimensional being having a temporary human experience. It's calling you to remember that you are not a victim of circumstances, but a creator of reality. That you are not powerless, but incredibly powerful. That you are not separate from the divine, but an expression of it. And when you remember this, when you embody this, everything changes, not just for you, but for everyone your energy touches, because you become a living transmission of the new consciousness, a beacon of light in the darkness, a bridge between worlds, and that is your purpose here. That is why you chose to incarnate at this exact moment in history, to be part of the greatest awakening humanity has ever known, to help birth a new world that honors all life, that celebrates diversity, that operates from love rather than fear, from abundance rather than scarcity, from unity rather than separation. And this new world is not some distant dream. It's being built right now in every moment that you choose consciousness over unconsciousness, love over fear, truth over deception, freedom over control. The Age of Aquarius is here. The question is, are you ready to step fully into it and claim your role as a conscious co-creator of the new Earth? The time for sitting on the sidelines is over. The time for waiting for someone else to fix things is over. The time for playing small and hiding your light is over. Because this is your moment. This is what you came here for. And the universe is waiting for you to say yes. Thank you for being here, for opening your mind and heart to this message, for being brave enough to question everything and seek truth beyond the mainstream narratives. You are exactly where you need to be. Keep awakening, keep rising, keep shining your light, because the world needs you fully activated and embodied in your power. Until next time, stay conscious, stay sovereign, and remember, you are the Age of Aquarius.